I'm Amy Delora for Washington Examiner, and we're joined today by Dusty Johnson, a representative from South Dakota. Dusty, thank you so much for joining us today.
You bet.
Well, doing a series right now on who owns America, and we're finding that Chinese companies are actually buying up American land as a new trend. Why should Congress be concerned about Chinese ownership of American land?
So I'm on the Select Committee on China, and this has so far been a strongly bipartisan push to really understand and develop a strategy for dealing with the decades of aggression that the Chinese Communist Party has had toward our country. And we're talking about this issue. And we have had multiple experts tell us that it is part of a deliberate and planful attempt by the Chinese Communist Party to gain what they call coercive economic pressure over not just our nation, but even more so over Africa, African countries, and in Southeast Asia. And so Chinese land ownership in America, yes, that's problematic. It's a small number now, but getting bigger. But their ownership of farmland outside of China has increased 1,000% in the last 10 years. And when they own that African farmland, when they own that Southeast Asia farmland, they gain more control over the whole global food supply. That gives them coercive power in the same way that Russia, supplying so much of Europe's energy, gave them coercive power over Europe during the earliest days of the Ukraine conflict.
So is there a way for Congress to restrict foreign land ownership to adversaries like China without penalizing allies like Canada, who actually own much more American land than China?
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction to make. Well, I don't want to. I am concerned about Chinese ownership, not just of farmland, but frankly of any key industrial sector. But that doesn't mean I'm anti-foreign investment. If Japan wants to go build a new car factory in Tennessee and hire 1,000 American machinists and welders, that's a good thing. That adds to American prosperity. But my interest in foreign investment gets real thin, real fast when you're talking about our adversaries. And so I've got a bill for this. I'm working with a number of people. It's the PASS Act, Elise Stefanik, Dan Newhouse, and others. We have been like dogs with a bone on this issue. And we have identified 4 abiding adversaries of our country: Iran, North Korea, Russia, and China. And our bill would blacklist those countries and their partners from buying American farmland or American agricultural processing facilities.
So you mentioned the PASS Act. How would that legislation protect national security?
Well, it sends a clear message that food security is national security. Now, there's already a process. There's a board that reviews foreign investment in the U.S., and they analyze large foreign investments in key American sectors, but they've never had anybody at the table with an expertise in food or agriculture. And so I think a part of this is just making it clear that those are the kinds of investments that need to have serious scrutiny as well. We can get this done. Passing my bill would be a big step forward.
And you also have the Farm Act. Why is it important to give more oversight authority to the Secretary of Agriculture? What limitations does the USDA, are they facing now in overseeing this?
Yeah, so the Secretary of Agriculture has never had a seat at the Committee for Foreign Investment in the U.S., or CFIUS. And so giving the Secretary of Ag that seat is going to use existing governmental authority, but in a much smarter way related to food and agriculture. And I know some people would say, oh, well, gosh, the Secretary of Ag is not going to be an expert in that. Well, no, but we also have the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Secretary of Commerce and other cabinet secretaries and their key staffers sitting on CFIUS, because they do bring a perspective on their world. It's time for us to have the perspective on agriculture and food there at the table for CFIUS.
You believe there's bipartisan support in Congress for limiting Chinese ownership? Has President Biden or the Biden administration been responsive to these concerns?
Well, I don't know about the Biden administration. They are not engaging with us in Congress as much as I think some people would hope. But I would tell you it is bipartisan. There are 22 of us on the Select Committee on China, and almost everything we have done has been on a bipartisan basis. We are putting aside the partisan slings and arrows, instead to focus on the fact that the Chinese Communist Party is a thuggish, repressive regime that wants to remove America as the world superpower. They are the Chinese Communist Party seems almost offended by the rules-based international order that America helped create and that we helped maintain. These guys don't like playing by the rules. They want to establish a new world order based on the rules and standards of the Chinese Communist Party. We cannot allow that to happen, and that is a voice that we're delivering with a strong, full-throated, bipartisan energy.
So you say you have bipartisan support in the House, but maybe not the Biden administration. Do you think this is a feat better addressed or better accomplished at the state and local levels?
I think most of this energy is better spent at the federal level. That's not to say that there's no role for state and local governments. Listen, I'm a federalist. I really believe in the power of local governments. But part of being a federalist is really understanding that the Constitution establishes what level of government should have primacy in these areas. And when you're talking about defending our borders, or about national security or defense or geopolitical strategic considerations, that really is an area that is best for us to do as Americans together. And I think that's why the Select Committee on China is so incredibly important.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Amy Delora for the Washington Examiner, where you can get straight news, exclusive interviews at washingtonexaminer.com.